Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Be Well, Be Keto. And today we have the adorable Julie Smith, who is the creator of the popular and fast-growing Instagram blog called Keto Made Simple. Julie lives in Utah with her husband Cameron and their 4 insane children. She just wrote a new book called Keto Made Simple, which you have to go check out. And Julie was diagnosed with PCOS. And through eating a ketogenic diet, she was not only able to lose the 60 pounds that PCOS created on her body, but she was able to get healthy again. So let's go say hi to Julie. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Be Well, Be Keto, the show that highlights ordinary people achieving extraordinary results and changing their lives for the better with a ketogenic diet. You too can be healthier and live better by adopting this amazing lifestyle. If you are new to the show, new episodes go live every Wednesday for your encouragement and support. And all show notes can be found at bewellbeketo.com. Listen each week and add the show to your favorites on your best podcast app. And if you know any cool people that would like to share their story, please contact us at support@highenergygirl.com. And if you want to follow us on social media, which I highly recommend, you can either join our Facebook group called High Energy Girls, if you're a girl, or follow us on Instagram and YouTube at The High Energy Girl. Now let's get to this week's episode with your host, Tracy Gluhige. Yep, that's me. Give a woman a fish, feed her for a day. Teach a woman to fish, feed her for a lifetime. Teach a woman to fish, end world hunger. Have you ever wanted to help people improve their health journey? Have you thought about coaching people with a keto lifestyle? Would you like to become an integrative health coach? Well, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, or IIN as we call it, is the largest nutrition school in the country. And in 2011, I graduated from their program and became a health coach. It was completely awesome. We learned over 100 different dietary theories and talk about craziness and confusion. My wish for you is that we can lock arms and create a tribe of health coaches all around the country, all around the world to spread the keto message. If this resonates with you and you would like to look into this option deeper, please go to my blog at highenergygirl.com and click on the link to the right of the homepage. Here you can grab the curriculum guide and see if it inspires you. Since I care so much about my listeners, I negotiated the very best tuition rate for you at IIN. Either you can contact them directly and give them my name, or I will introduce you to a counselor so you can decide if this is a good fit for you and your career goals. Let me know how I can support you in this coaching career opportunity. Hey, Julie, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, I am super excited to talk with you because I know that you've got some cool things going on. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Perfect. So I am a mom, first and foremost. I have 4 children. My husband and I have been married for just a little over 3 years. So we're a blended family.
I was going to say, that was quick.
Yeah, it's very fun and challenging, and it's just a blast. So basically what we kind of do together is we both have an Instagram account. Mine is Keto Simple, his is Keto Madman, and we just kind of show our daily lives, what we eat on a daily basis, and I try to provide kind of just fresh, new ideas for what to eat, because I'm a foodie. My husband has turned into a foodie since he's married me. So we just really love good food. And I don't feel like keto has to be very restrictive and like taste like diet food. So really it's my main focus to try to come up with delicious recipes. And I love to share that with people. And I just recently launched my brand new cookbook, which I'm super excited about. It's called Keto Your Way. Which I'm happy to talk about if you have questions. But basically, it's just a compilation of all my super easy recipes. And the title, Keto Your Way, kind of translates into my philosophy on keto, because I do believe that everybody is totally different and you need to take a different approach to keto. to fit your lifestyle. So that's kind of the outline of my book.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to backtrack and we'll get to the book and all of that wonderful stuff in a minute. So what brought you to keto? Like how did you get here?
Okay, so it's kind of, it's kind of a long story, but I'll shorten it a little bit. So I was a single mom for a few years, worked a job that I totally hated but needed. And over that course of a couple years that I was working at this place, I just kept slowly gaining weight. And I thought, okay, I'm probably just stressed. I'm a single mom. Like, life is just hard. Well, then we got married. I became a stay-at-home mom. All of my kids are old enough to be in school full-time. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to really just focus on myself and help better myself, because for so long I didn't. So I was at the gym 5 days a week, eating very, very clean meals. I mean, obviously I wasn't like eating perfect all the time, but the majority of my meals were chicken and brown rice and vegetables. And then I would go to the gym for about an hour and a half every single day, weekdays, and still kept gaining weight. So at that point, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something wrong. There has to be a deeper issue. I started feeling depressed and anxious, which was something that was very new to me. Mm-hmm. So I knew there was a deeper issue. So long story short, went to the doctor, found out that I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. You talk about this frequently, but for those of you who don't know, it's basically just a giant hormonal nightmare. So at that point, I realized, okay, maybe there's some things that are beyond my control. Maybe I need medication. I didn't want to be put on medication. I hate that. I hate having to rely on something. So I just took it upon myself to do some research and really figure out, okay, how can I manage my weight safely with PCOS? Mm-hmm. So all the research I found pointed me to keto. I didn't know what keto was. I had done the Atkins diet in the past, low carb, so I kind of knew I had a good understanding of the basics of what I should be doing. And I literally just started keto the next day. So I kind of just jumped right in it, didn't know what I was doing. But I think for me, that helped me really to understand what I should be doing for my body. It was a lot of trial and error, a lot of like frustrations, a lot of really high points and a lot of low points. But for me, that was the most healthy relationship that I could develop with food. And since then, I've lost, so this was back in February of 2017. So I've been doing keto for 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. I lost 65 pounds. I mean, depending on the day, 60 to 65. And I lost that in the first 10 months, and I've been able to maintain that ever since. So I'm super happy with where, not only where like the weight loss aspect has come, but more so how I feel. Because at one point in my life, I really did not think that I could ever lose weight. Like, I started keto with all the intentions of how can I not gain any more weight? So really, this whole experience has been completely mind-blowing to me, and how it's reversed my PCOS symptoms, totally balanced out my hormones. It's crazy what keto has done for me.
That is fantastic. Now, did you have your kids prior to your diagnosis of PCOS?
Yes, I did. So I had the 3 oldest kids are mine, and then the youngest is my husband's. I mean, they're all ours. We claim them all. Good. But so our oldest is 16, and then there's a 4-year gap between him and the second one, who is almost 11 or almost 12, and then we have a 9 and 8-year-old. So they're all kind of closer in age, but I did have a struggle getting pregnant with my second child, but I didn't know. Like, I didn't know when I had PCOS, when it came on. And I obviously didn't know that, like, these things I was struggling with until I actually went to the doctor. And you know what's funny is I went to the doctor. They did not test me for PCOS. I actually went onto Google and was like WebMDing all my symptoms. And then I'm like, holy crap, I think I might have PCOS. So I actually had to go to the doctor and say, hey, can you test me for PCOS? And sure enough, I was positive. So it was pretty crazy how it came about.
Wow. I think so. Okay, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that PCOS is a chicken or egg thing. It's like
Yes.
gaining weight helps create PCOS because the estrogen stored in your fat cells, and PCOS helps you gain weight. Is that true?
I totally agree with that. And it's crazy because I'm like, I don't know um, when I got it. I don't know how long I've lived with it. I don't know really what symptoms were affecting me the most. I just knew that I fit all the check boxes for PCOS. So it was crazy to me. And it's like, wow, how long have I really lived with this and not known?
Yeah, and isn't PCOS the biggest cause of fertility? Infertility, I mean.
Yes. Yes,
Huh.
absolutely. So I was very fortunate. That was, I mean, obviously one thing that I did not struggle with, but I don't know if I had PCOS back then. Like, I don't know if it was something that came on later, but I have watched so many people, and honestly, some of my closest people in my life who have struggled with infertility tried keto for like a year and immediately got pregnant. So to me, that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have one of my closest friends. She just barely had her baby. She could not get pregnant for like 10 years, and she did keto for a couple months and got pregnant. It's insane.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got to introduce me to her. um,
Okay.
I happen to know a fertility doctor, and I have tried to talk to him about keto, and he's vegan, and he just won't give me the time of day. And it makes me crazy because, all these women are spending all this money on, what is it called when they try to get them pregnant in vitro, and sometimes
Yep.
it takes, sometimes it doesn't take, and all they need to do, I'm not going to say this works all the time, but frequently you hear stories of how it works for people.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, I totally
jeez.
agree. It's crazy. It blows my mind. And I think with doctors, I mean, they've been practicing medicine for who knows how long, and keto wasn't really something that was talked about. And this is something that I learned from Dr. Ken Berry,
Hmm.
that a lot of doctors were trained a specific nutrition with a specific nutrition course. And so keto is a very foreign thing to a lot of doctors. And I'm not saying like all doctors are bad, but I just feel like a lot of them are misinformed or they're not educated enough. And I feel like it's kind of our place um, to speak up and to really just try to bring awareness about keto. And I think that the whole foods aspect just speaks volumes. Like, I don't understand why people still talk badly about keto because it's like there's so many healing powers to it if you just open up your mind and really take the time to learn about keto.
Yeah. I had the low carb doctor, Dr. Scher from San Diego area on the show, and he said that when he graduated from college or from med school, he had this heart and desire to help people. And he said that what he learned in school wasn't really working, and it wasn't until a friend of his who was a health coach, like me, and that told him about keto, and he started experimenting with it on his patients, and now he has a boutique practice, and he said his patients are so much healthier.
That is wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that is, so that's just what people need to do is think outside the box. I had a friend here the other day who their doctor put them on cholesterol. And I'm like, okay, so tell me what your HDL is. He goes, well, it's really good. I don't remember the number, but it's really good. Okay, well, what are your triglycerides? Oh, those are really good too. I'm like, and then why are you on cholesterol meds? Tracy, you're not a doctor. I am not going to talk to you about this because my doctor said, and I'm like, oh my freaking God. Like, really? I mean,
Yep.
my blood starts boiling, and I have to just learn to shut my mouth and
I totally get that. Yeah, it's like people just we're taught this specific way of nutrition and how we should be feeding our bodies, and it took me a really long time to realize that that whole thing I learned growing up about the food pyramid is absolutely not true for my body at least. And I think that was one of the hardest parts when I first started keto was really training my brain to be okay with eating the things that I was always taught not to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, and I love food, obviously, but I feel like when I first started, I could eat bacon, and I was like, are we sure I can eat bacon? Like, really? Because I've been eating turkey bacon for the last 4 years, and I didn't know. So I think that was one of the hardest parts for me, was that I just needed to be okay with upping the amounts of fat and just switching the quality of foods that I was eating. And it's insane the progress that I've made. But I think that is a huge challenge to a lot of people at first. It's like, we've been taught our whole lives not to eat this way.
Yeah.
So it's eye opener for sure.
So you lost 60 pounds in how long?
So it took me about 10 months to lose the 60 pounds, and then I've just kept it off ever since. I would say, so on Instagram, I obviously interact with a lot of different people every single day, but the majority of people, obviously it's longer if you have more weight to lose, but I would say the majority of people can lose 50 to 60 pounds within like 9 to 10 months. That's the number I've been kind of watching people talk about. So I just feel like if you are somebody who is stuck in your weight loss and you just can't progress, like commit to 10 months of keto. Like your body will be completely different, I promise. It's just you have to allow yourself that time, like give yourself that time. I know there's a lot of people with keto who have a lot of weight to lose and they will drop like 30 pounds in 1 month. And other people see that and they're like, well, why am I not losing that fast? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I was always frustrated with the scale. Like it was never fast enough. And to look back on my journey, I think, why was I so impatient? Like there was no need to be that impatient, but every single month I was frustrated, but I was losing, 4 to 5 pounds a month towards the end, and that's a lot of weight still. And so when you're doing it for so long, the results just add up so quickly. But you just have to be patient. I mean, 10 months is not that long to lose that much weight. That's a lot of weight.
Oh, absolutely. And if you wouldn't have done that, you probably would have gained more, So I always tell people
Totally.
that any loss is better than a gain.
Yes.
So did you track macros? How did you get started? I mean, you said you started the next day, so clearly you didn't probably know everything about it. So what'd you
Right.
do?
So I kind of just jumped right into it. I found a couple Instagram accounts when I first started who really honestly just spoke to me on a level that I could understand. And so I did not track macros because number one, I didn't know what a macro was when I first started. Like literally did not know what it was. I remember sitting on the couch Googling like, what is a macro? How do I track a macro? And it got to a point where I was like, I can't do this. Like I can't be a slave to this every day of my life. Like that's just not realistic for me. So I kind of just jumped in without tracking anything. And to this day, I have not tracked one piece of food that's been in my mouth. So for me, this is kind of the approach that I take, but I mentally track my carbs. So I kind of do like a countdown in the morning. If I have coffee with heavy cream, I know it's about 2 carbs for the heavy cream. So then there's my countdown for the day. I have 18 carbs left for the day. So that's kind of how I operate on a daily basis. But when I first started, I absolutely didn't know what I was doing. I'm sure I went over on everything. If I was tracking macros, it'd be like, whoa, settle down on the calories, or like chill out on the amount of carbs that you just took. But it's all about trial and error, and it's all about trying to recognize your body's signals.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm at a point now, and it didn't take me very long to get to this point, but I really can feel when I'm actually hungry versus being bored or,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard for me to express this about macros because I know that macros are super helpful for a lot of people, and a lot of people absolutely need to track them to stay on track. But for me, I love that I don't have to, because say I'm tracking macros and it tells me I have like, 10 carbs left for the day. Mentally for me, that says, okay, go eat more food, but
Yeah.
I'm not hungry, So I like to take that intuitive eating approach to where I can actually say, okay, I have all these macros left for the day, but honestly, I don't need to use them because I'm not hungry. So for me, that's my approach, and it works for me.
And you know what? I totally think that's important, being an intuitive eater and listening to your body's hunger signals instead of eating around the clock. So,
Yes.
how old are you?
I am 30, well, I'll be 37 next week.
Okay, so you're a pup. Well, I mean, I'm 53, so when I grew up, it was all the fat-free everything, and so eating all that fat was kind of scary, because I lived on counting points and Weight Watchers and non-fat, high-fiber everything, and so going keto was a total shift, But I love what you just said about, like adding, I have 10 carbs left. I can add that back because that's what I would do on the points. I have 4 points left. What can I, do? Instead of being an intuitive eater and listening to our body, I think that we as a population need to be more mindful. We're so, distracted by everything in life that, we're like living in our head and being distracted instead of being present to, people, our children, I was cracking up. I was walking my dogs yesterday with my girlfriend and we always just, this is our therapy session. Like we only see each other once a day. We just walk our dogs and
I love that.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. She's one of my best friends. So, but we're walking the dogs and all of a sudden this couple passes us and literally they weren't talking. They both had their head down and they were like on their phone. I'm like, really? Like, what is the point? But that's this, new millennial type generation. And I think just as a population being mindful. So I love what you said. And plus I think going along with what you said, some of us are free spirits like me. And I have a really hard time tracking anything. And then there's other that are the analysts that love to track. That's my husband. He's like Mr. Finance, like everything has to be tight. So So tell me a typical day of your eating and has that evolved over time?
Oh, yes, for sure. It definitely has evolved. And I kind of talk about this a lot, but when I first started, I ate very, very dirty keto. Like I was fine getting sugar-free jam from Walmart, which has, the worst fake sugars in it possible. But to me at the beginning, like I was just searching for anything that would help my cravings. And so I did eat a lot of dirty keto in the beginning. And over time, it's like you start to recognize that, maybe those things aren't making me feel the best. I recognize that I feel better when I'm eating whole foods and, not a lot of the keto treats and things like that. I mean, I love keto treats, don't get me wrong. But I just think that over time, like you have to be kind to yourself, especially if you're first starting out. You're trying to make keto a lifestyle for you. So you have to make it realistic to fit into your life. So sometimes that means fast food burgers for people. And sometimes that means living off of sugar-free candies. But over time, like I have no doubt in my mind, over time, everyone gets better with their eating choices through keto. So for me now, I'm more picky with my ingredients. I wouldn't say I'm like super clean keto all the time because I'm absolutely not. But typical day of eating for me is so I'm a breakfast eater. I love breakfast. I am not a late night eater, which is difficult sometimes because kids want to eat dinner. Like I have a family to feed and it's 6 o'clock rolls around and it's like crap. I have to make dinner, but I'm not really hungry. So for me, sometimes I skip out on dinner with the family because I don't like to eat past 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it gets a little tricky, but I typically will eat, I'll either have coffee with heavy cream and try to wait until I get hungry, and that's usually like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I can hold out till then. And then I'll eat one huge meal with some sort of protein. I eat very high protein keto because I'm anemic And my body just loves red meat. So
Mm-hmm.
I do eat a lot of red meat. Um, Either like a steak and vegetables or a hamburger, no bun, obviously, with some vegetables. So I try to get vegetables in. I don't do great with vegetables, which gives me a lot of crap from my Instagram followers. I think they're like, you should be eating more vegetables than that. But
Uh,
honestly, like for me, they don't do great with my gut, so I can't all the time. But that's kind of a typical day. I mean, I either eat like one massive meal or sometimes I eat three smaller meals. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling that day. And again, it's like I try to pay attention to my hunger signals. So
mm-hmm.
some days I just want a huge meal and that's it. And then the other days I'm like, I'm starving, I can't get enough food.
And
So,
that's
I,
ancestral, if you think about it, right? On the days they hunt, they ate, and on the days they didn't have any kill, they didn't eat. So,
yep.
I think that's normal. People are like, I had a girl that I work with yesterday go, "Oh my gosh, like my friend is doing this intermittent fasting that she only eats once a day. That's so unhealthy." And I'm like, "Well, not necessarily." And
I think it's so important. Like people, this is one thing that I heard years ago, and it honestly stuck to me, was that somebody said, it's okay to go to bed hungry. And to me, it was
yeah.
like such a simple concept, but I was like, oh, you're right. Like I don't need to eat right before bed. Like I feel like the keto and intermittent fasting work so well together because you eat a huge meal and then you let your body just like digest and do its thing and get hungry again. I think it's great.
Yeah, actually, for aging and stuff, it's better because when your body is empty, it helps you produce more, or when your stomach's empty, it helps you produce more human growth hormone.
Hmm.
And, it's better for autophagy because your digestive system takes so much energy. So if it's not working at digestion, then that energy is able to be used elsewhere.
Totally. I totally agree with that.
So that's the whole thing. It's just people are in habits. I used to eat at 7 in the morning, 10, 1, 4, 7, 10, just like around the clock. And I think so many people still do that,
Yep.
you
And
know?
it's like you're just letting your body get hungry.
Yeah.
I think getting hungry is important. It's important to know, like, there's days where I get super hungry and then I think to myself, okay, um, yes, I'm a foodie, which means I want something super tasty, but I also am able to recognize what does my body need right now? And sometimes that's a huge salad. And other times I crave red meat because I can just feel that I need it. And so I think when my brain is operating on an empty stomach, it does its best thinking, which is it's so strange. But I think that's what fasting is for, is to open up your brain and really like be in tune with your body and to realize, okay, I'm about to eat what's going to nourish me and also taste
Yeah.
good. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I think that it helps you. So I think just if we look at it from a physiological, now I'm not a doctor. I'm not, I don't really know, but I just make up a bunch of stuff. So, well, I just try to put things together to make sense, right? So if
Well,
you're
yeah.
fasting, you're not eating, your body doesn't have, so it has more ketones, because even if you eat something healthy, you're going to have a little bit of a glucose spike, just a little bit.
Right.
So if you're
Mhm.
just running pure clean on clean energy from ketones, then I think your mental clarity is so much better. You know,
Absolutely.
once you kind of jack
And
things up.
yeah, that's like the mental clarity that everyone talks about. Like their purpose for doing keto is to have mental clarity. And I think fasting is such a huge factor in having mental clarity for sure.
Yeah. And what's your longest fast you've done?
Oh gosh, I'm not a faster. So I do it's funny because it's like one of the main questions I get asked on Instagram all the time is do you do intermittent fasting or do you fast? My answer is always no, not intentionally, but that's because like for me, I don't know. I'm not like in a rush to lose weight. I don't want to lose more weight. I'm not interested in like doing stuff like that. For me, I feel great almost every day. And so I don't feel the need to like do extreme fasting and stuff like that. But what I do is I stop eating at 4 o'clock and then I don't eat until the next morning. So I am intermittent fasting. It's never like intentional, like, oh, I cannot be eating this. But for me mentally, it works better because if I say, okay, I'm intermittent fasting, then all of a sudden I want everything in sight. And I'm like, damn it, I can't eat that because I'm fasting. But if I don't even think about it and I'm like, yeah, I'm done eating for the day, like it's 4 o'clock, I just ate my last meal, I'm done, then I can mentally shut it off in my brain. I don't know, I'm kind of messed up. But
No, that's
that's just how I
awesome.
operate. Yeah, so I don't intentionally intermittent fast, but pretty much every day that's what occurs.
So it's just mindfulness, right? I mean, you're just listening to your
Yes.
body and feeding it what it wants. So that's
Yep.
exactly. What about working out? Do you work out?
I do not work out, and it's not something that I'm proud of. Like, honestly, if it were up to me, well, I mean, it is up to me. I'm just lazy. But if I could actually make it a priority, I would love to. I just am in such a busy phase of life where I can't find the time. And I know that that sounds like an excuse, but I'm literally so jam-packed that I cannot find the time. And I think, like, honestly, if you can work out, please work out. I think it's amazing. But I also do feel like it speaks volumes for what keto can do for somebody because I have not worked out at all. Um, which is funny because when I first started keto, and then even like the year before I started keto, I was at the gym every single day, 5 days a week. I was there.
Ooh.
But when I first started, I would get home from the gym and I probably worked out for the first month of doing keto. I'd get back from the gym and I'd just be doing my normal thing that I would usually do at the gym. I would get home and be so depleted that I had nothing left for my family, like absolutely zero. I didn't know that I was lacking electrolytes. I didn't know that I was like, my nutrition was totally off. I probably wasn't eating enough. So I just felt very weak and depleted. And at one point, my husband was like, you got to stop going to the gym because, like, you can't do anything the rest of the day. And he was right. Like, I wasn't able to be there for my family when they needed me. And so I decided, all right, I'm done with the gym for a little bit. I'll go back when I start to feel good. And then I just never made it back. So that's my battle right now. I mean, I do the normal like walk your dog, and I mean, I love my dog. We go on walks. And then just the everyday normal mom stuff. But as far as like getting myself to the gym, getting a workout in, I do not do that, and I really want to.
Well, it's just a new
That's my battle.
habit. You know, it's just a habit. And I always tell people, like, find stuff you love that is going to make you jump out of bed. You
Yes,
know, like, I love the gym. It's my happy place, and I teach classes. And it's one of my favorite things I do. So,
I love that. I wish that it was one of my favorite things because honestly, it's something that I dread. I do love lifting weights. That's like one thing that I just absolutely love it. I love CrossFit. I did CrossFit for a while, and that was a blast. It's just I think I'm at the point now where I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid of getting back into the gym. Like I've done it a couple times in the last 6 months. I was like, okay, I'm getting my butt back to the gym. I'm doing it every day. And I would be good for like a couple weeks and then I would just stop. So for me, it's like, how can I get myself back into those habits? And then now it's summer. So like all my kids are here and it's just crazy. So I'm not in a good uh, like mental space to build that habit. And I
mhm.
so desperately need to be. Um, but the good news is one of my neighbors was like, hey, do you go to the gym? We should start going together. And I'm like, yes, please. Like, I need someone to make me
Aw,
go. So I'm going to start going with her, which I'm super excited about.
perfect. And you know what? So I tell my clients just start with 2 days a week of heavy lifting. So like Monday and Thursday. Okay. So that's
Hmm.
that's it. So just 2 days a week, heavy lifting, and that's your beginning pace. And that's
Love that.
doable, right? Because you're going to get
Yep.
so much better results, as I'm sure you know, from lifting heavy than you are going to be from cardio.
Totally. And
And
I love that because cardio is not my favorite, but I do love lifting weights. I think the mental thing for me, and I'm totally going to try what you just said, but the mental thing for me is that I will start going to the gym, and then if I skip a day, like if I'm not there 5 days a week, I get really mad at myself. And that's so stupid. Like I shouldn't do that. So I think maybe just making it a goal of 2 to 3 times a week to start out, I won't beat myself up for it if I don't go a day, you know? I
yeah.
think I need to try.
Yeah, just go 2 days a week, do your whole body both days. I mean, I
Hmm.
track my workouts on this really cool app. And so I know I always, every single time, challenge myself to do a little bit more. Like, even like if I look and I say, okay, last time I did bicep curls at, say 50 pounds and I did 10 reps. Well, today I'm going to do 11. And once I hit
Love
12, then I add more weight, So I'm constantly challenging myself.
Yep. And
Um,
then it's like you versus you and not everyone else.
Yeah, and then you can prove to yourself that you're getting stronger and you don't need more than that.
Yep.
There was this chick in my class today because I teach at the gym and it's a TRX spin class. And she literally does 6 classes a day.
Oh my.
I'm like, girl, that's not good for you. Like, your body is smart and it goes, uh-oh, here she goes again. And it's going to hold on to your fat.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I can't lose weight. I'm like, you're overtraining.
That's
Plain and
crazy.
simple. So, what advice would you give somebody just getting started on keto?
I would say honestly, the biggest piece of advice is just to jump in and do it. Because I think a lot of people spend way too much time researching and then they psych themselves out before starting. So I think you just need to commit and say, okay, I'm going to start. Even if you don't know everything, just start. And then you're going to learn as you go. The beauty of doing it that way is that you don't really know what to expect. You don't know what's coming. And then you're more prone to being able to listen to your body. So I think for me, when I first started, I just ate, whatever. Like I would get Slim Jims from the gas station. And sure, that's fine for a piece of jerky, but it's not made with the highest quality ingredients and probably has crappy sugars in it. But I learned that, and you can
Mm-hmm.
only learn that from experiencing it. And so I think a lot of people get hung up on, oh my gosh, there's so much info out there. I don't know where to start. Just start. Keep your carbs super low. Try to stay under 25 net carbs per day. And then eliminate processed sugars. And that's a good place to start. And then just kind of learn as you go. Figure out what your body best responds to. Whether that's a ton of vegetables or whether that's not very many vegetables, whether that's dairy or no dairy. I mean, you just have to experiment to find out what works best for your body and what your body responds to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're totally all different, and some people can handle being vegan, and others, like us, they need their red meat.
Mhm. Yep.
So good. That's good advice. And then, what are some of your favorite recipes? I know you have like a gorgeous blog. What are
Thank
some of
you.
your favorites?
So, oh gosh, I don't know. So I love my pizza crust. It's the fathead pizza dough. Um, I feel like fathead pizza crust can honestly be made into so many different things. My whole uh, aspect of my way of cooking is to replicate things I can no longer eat. So, like pizza and empanadas and um, gosh, I don't know, cinnamon rolls, things like that. Like you can keto-fy just about anything. And so for me, some of my favorite recipes are just replicas of things that I can no longer eat, like orange rolls. That one's in my book, and that one's one of my absolute favorite recipes of all time. Um, and then there's things like waffles and pancakes that are all keto friendly. It's just things that are feeling like treats, I guess,
And
is what I would.
are these all in your cookbook?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna
Well,
have.
most of them. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I do post to Instagram that are based off of recipes on the book. Like, I don't want to give away all my secrets that are in the book, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of new stuff in the book that no one's ever seen before on my feed, which I think will be a fun surprise to people. But yeah, I mean, I make a keto version of just about any food, which is fun. I love that.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to get that for my husband to try because he needs to he is not keto. It's horrible. And he
Mhm.
loves stuff like that. Like he loves waffles and all the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah, my husband does too. And I think for a lot of people, making foods like that are their saving grace for sticking with keto. Because a lot of the times people eat just a ribeye with grilled vegetables, and that is great. But sometimes people want a treat or something that feels like they're cheating even though they're not. And so those are the foods that I try to share with my followers because I truly do want keto to be a sustainable way of living for people. And sometimes people just need something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, totally agree. Totally agree. So how can people find you, girl?
So my Instagram handle is Keto Made Simple, and my website is ketomadesimple.life. It's not .com, it's .life. It's pretty much just my Instagram feed on there. But I do give, anytime I share a recipe, I do give the full recipe straight on my Instagram feed, which I find a lot of people think that's super helpful. It just eliminates a step for a lot of people, which people do appreciate. So, yeah, if you want to check me out on Instagram, I provide a lot of good recipes and just normal everyday ideas. And then obviously my cookbook will be it's available for pre-order right now on Amazon. It's called Keto Your Way. And then you can also get it on Barnes& and Noble and Target, I believe. But the official release date is September 24th, and that's when you'll see it in stores.
Hey, that's 2 months from today.
I know.
Yay.
I'm so excited. It's
How
been a
long?
long time.
I was just going to ask you that. How long did it take you to write that?
So I have been working on it since May of last year. So it's been almost a year and a half. It's crazy. But I
Uh,
mean, everything. My book is through Victory Belt Publishing, which I absolutely love their books. They use really high quality paper and they have a photo for every single recipe. So for me, that was the most fun part of writing this book was taking all the photos and just, plating it, making it look all pretty. That was super fun for me. So there's a lot of stuff that goes behind writing a cookbook that I didn't know and now I know. But it's a super long process. It's going to be very exciting for me when it finally releases.
Aw, that is so, so sweet. And if you need any help with a weight workout, let me know and I'll send you over a couple things that.
I would absolutely love that. Honestly, I would love that.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I've been a personal trainer for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many years and into fitness for a long time. Like my new focus is my program for women that I only do one-on-one coaching now. Because the group program, so many people seem to get lost in the shuffle, and I don't ever
Yeah.
want that to happen. But I tell all my ladies, like my focus and my little tagline is aging stronger.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I
Yeah.
need something. Whatever you want to send me, I'm happy to receive.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, it's like if we could all, if you're not getting stronger, you're getting weaker. If you're not getting healthier, you're getting sicker. Nothing stays stagnant in life.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to encourage everyone to do is make steps in the right direction. It doesn't matter how small they are as long as you're going in the right direction.
Yep.
You
There's
know?
a quote that I shared on Instagram one time, and I just saw it circling around Instagram this morning, but it was like, some quit due to slow progress without realizing that slow progress is still progress, which I love because I feel like with weight loss journeys, a lot of people get super impatient. And especially with keto, when you hear of people that lose just massive amounts of weight in really short periods of time, it's hard to not compare yourself to those people. Because a lot of, like, I'm a slow loser. I was a slow loser throughout my entire journey. But you have to still recognize that slow progress still is progress. And so I think just making small changes turns into really big changes in the end. So you just kind of have to keep that larger mental picture in mind.
Yep, absolutely. Because, like time's going to pass and you're going to wish you had started, a month ago or a year ago.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
one thing when I work with clients, it's like, okay, so I ask them, like, if you could wave a magic wand, where do you want to see yourself in a year? Like, what's your ideal? And then I say, okay, so say you did nothing, where would, going the way your things have been going, where would you see yourself? And do you like what you see?
Hmm.
So the listeners, like, think about that. Do you like what you see? Is it time to
Yep.
take action? So I have to say that looking at your pictures of your food is like mouth watering. Your blog is beautiful. And I love that cup at the beginning, at the picture. So you guys need to go check out our blog. It is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. You're so nice. I
No.
do love good food. I feel like food has to not taste like diet food. And people are always like, "Okay, but does it taste like the real thing?" Sometimes, but like sometimes you can't replicate the exact thing. Like pizza, for example, the pizza crust, people are like, "Does it taste like the real thing?" Like not exactly, but it is close enough and it's the best it's gonna get. So I like to be super upfront with my food and just please know if you are a foodie, I am here to help you with that because I love good food.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to spend a lot of time here on your blog. Like this
Thank you.
caramelized onion tart. See, my problem right now is I'm really working on healing my gut. I have a lot of issues with my stomach. And so I'm off almonds, anything almond, which sucks.
Hmm.
No dairy other than sheep's milk I can have. So manchego cheese is like my new buddy.
Uh-huh.
And no eggs. Can you imagine?
Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. I
Yeah.
think so sometimes when this is another thing that I think is cool about the cookbook. So I do see requests from a lot of people. So if I make something that has almond flour in it, I will usually get someone that says, "Can this be made with coconut flour?" So I've tried to provide a lot of things in my book to where it can be customized to fit your dietary restrictions. So I do have a lot of dairy-free options. I have a lot of um, coconut and almond free option. So you just kind of have to play around with things to figure out what you can eat best. But it's funny that you mentioned the caramelized onion tart because that is honestly like probably my favorite thing I've ever made in my life. It is so good. You could do it with like a chicken crust.
Do you,
Um,
do you have a recipe for that? A chicken crust?
I do. I can, well, actually, no. So it has egg in it. So let me try and figure out a way to get around that. And then I can send you what I have. Because if you can have the manchego cheese, um, and then you can do onions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to figure this out for you. I'm
Oh my
going to
gosh.
try and figure out a crust.
And we'll put that on the show notes page. Like, I would
Okay.
love to find a crust that I could eat. Like, I've heard people making like a chicken crust or
Hmm.
something. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I actually do have one of those in my book. It has canned chicken, which honestly is like the easiest thing ever. Or you can use real chicken, but I like to provide lots of cut the corner options for lazy cooks like myself. So it has canned chicken and then it has some Parmesan cheese and an egg. So I will have to figure out what I can do there, but I'm up for the challenge here.
Challenge. Woohoo! Woohoo! Lucky me, because I love pizza, but I never eat it. And I'm like you, I'm a more of a high protein girl because my focus is on lifting heavy weights and getting stronger. And
Hmm.
so I'm really into, the protein side of things and feeding my muscles. And the other day I deadlifted, my goal is 200, but I hit 190 for 2 reps.
Oh my, that's amazing. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
not bad for an old lady. Hey,
Oh,
Julie,
I love it.
you are beautiful. Your book cover is beautiful. I'm really looking forward to it coming out and for me to stalk your blog. You and your hubby are the cutest little couple. Um,
Oh, thank you.
I'm
We
so
have fun.
serious. You guys are
Thanks.
lovely.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm so glad you had me on today. This was such a blast.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. I am so lucky because I get to talk to people that are like-minded to me. And I'm going to be honest, nobody else in my like real life is like me. And they all think I'm a little cuckoo. So, so selfishly, I love talking with you and with other, keto girls. So
I agree. I totally agree. Most of my closest friends are my online friends, and that's fine. We have like opinions and the same way of living, so it just works out.
yeah, totally. Well, my dear, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, wasn't that awesome? I'm so inspired to be a better foodie. Her blog is gorgeous. She has so many amazing pictures and food recipes, and I can't wait to try some of them. So maybe I can finally get my husband on board on keto. So anyways, thanks so much for listening. If you like the show, please head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. Send us over any wonderful guest ideas. And as always, the show notes can be found on BeWellBeKeto.com. Thanks, everyone. Make it a great day. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.